First, I think I should clarify one term which I have used here, mastery. I am not using the term mastery in the sense one curricular efforts in India called MLL used. They used mastery in a very sort of measurable terms. I am talking much less of that. I am talking much more of standards one has to achieve in any kind of learning. That may be a skill or something like, say, driving or making tea. That might be understanding, say, of physics or history or poetry. So all these things have built-in understandings. Built-in standards. So I am talking of those standards more than the mastery in MLL sense. Now, obviously, when we are talking of learning, the major part of learning which happens in education is knowledge, be that procedural knowledge or propositional knowledge. So, major part. And actually, if we look at our own curriculum and curriculum world over, then propositional knowledge again makes the most significant and major part of education or curricula. So therefore the idea of knowledge and its impact on teaching, you are right, are very important questions. In a short interview, I don't really know how to get into the knowledge discourse. This is pretty controversial and complex issue. So I'll quickly say 3 or 4 things and then state my own position. A very sort of strong position these days is that knowledge is simply socially acceptable belief system, and the social acceptance may not have any what is called epistemic grounds, and that may simply have socio-political grounds, and this keeps on shifting, which is true. The second perspective could be that when you talk of knowledge, you have to distinguish between belief, a true belief, and knowledge. And there is a traditional way of looking at knowledge. I think that is still useful. It has several problems and unresolved issues, but this is still, to my mind, the best thing we have, or rather best theory of knowledge we have so far. So if I talk about that, then that would be that basically knowledge is a state of mind in this perspective. There could be many states of mind. There could be sort of, I might be feeling a pain or pleasure, I might be sad or happy. These are also states of mind, but they are not knowledge. Knowledge is something, we are talking propositional knowledge, which could be articulated in language, in a declarative sentence. So now sentences are also of many different kinds, where there could be requests, there could be commands, there could be complaints, etc. So only those statements are considered in knowledge, which say something about the world. Something like leaves are green, or sky is blue, or there are 4 people in this room now. Now these are statements which claim something. If we want to understand knowledge, generally speaking, then the classical definition is that we have to believe in that statement. If I don't believe, I do not know. The second thing is that it must be true. And the third thing is that I must have some grounds, some reason. Sometimes this is called justification, sometimes it's called evidence, sometimes this is called warrant. And these terms have different connotations, but we won't go into that detail. So, therefore there are 3 conditions. Now the purpose of education from this perspective is to build the capability of learner to form beliefs based on reason, which means true beliefs and beliefs for which the learner has grounds. If we look from that perspective, then we quickly notice that all human knowledge may not have the structure of their justification exactly the same. There might be very different kinds of structures of justification. For example, in mathematics, the structure of justification might be step-by-step deduction, and there is no need for any kind of observation. Now we should remember that most of these things I am saying are controversial. People might have another perspective on mathematics, but we can talk on that some other time. This is generally accepted that in science, ultimately, my belief should have some logical relationship with observable facts. So therefore, justification in science will necessarily involve observation of the nature. In social sciences, this will involve observation of the social behavior or social reality, or constructing the social reality, if one wants to be a little bit more careful. So, therefore it seems that if I am teaching mathematics, the mathematical knowledge, apart from the very core of knowledge, which is same everywhere, might have a different kind of characteristics than the scientific knowledge. Social science knowledge might have still different kinds of characteristics. Now, if as a teacher I do not know this difference, and I do not understand it, then I might be able to pass on the facts of science or facts of mathematics or facts of social science. But I cannot prepare my student to examine those facts, to make her own informed view, whether to believe those facts or not to believe. That necessarily will involve the epistemology of that particular discipline. If that gap is left, then my aim of education as independence of thought is seriously harmed. Therefore, it seems to me that for teachers, whatever school subjects they might be teaching, they need to have some, at least working theory of knowledge. It might not be perfect, but they must have some working theory of knowledge in general, and they must have some working epistemology of their own subject. Without that, their teaching would be pure pedagogical gimmick, to my mind, and wouldn't go very